Thanks, Jonathan. No pressure there then with that introduction, thanks a lot. Boot camp, don't panic people, we're not going to be doing press-ups, star jumps or anything like that. 10 minutes to coffee, it would be unfair. Business continuity is essential. I think you've got that message loud and clear so far from people that have been talking. We believe having a business strategy should be your first step to doing that, because without the right foundations in place, you're going nowhere, to be frank. So how do we plan the strategy? We've got risks to minimise, but more importantly, from our point of view, we've got opportunities to maximise. So it's getting a balance on those things. And I'm going to take you through a few exercises that, not for yourself, but for your business. If you do these exercises on a regular basis, in the right kind of way, your business will be protected and can take advantage of the opportunities that are there. Before we get into those 5 exercises, focus on the positives. We always talk to clients about focusing on the positives. Post-recession, and you can argue whether we're post-recession or not, but post people having taken precautions against recession, most people we can say less is definitely more. So you should be less complacent. You know, things might happen that you're not ready for. We should be less expensive to run. If you can take costs out of your business, you've probably done that by now. Less competition around, maybe in your sector. Some businesses haven't survived, so you've got some opportunity there. Probably less staff to manage. If you had fat in your business, you probably haven't got it anymore. And therefore, because you've dealt with those things, there's a bit less risk than there was before. Most importantly of all, in looking at positives, if you're still around and in business now after the last 2 to 3 years that we've had, then you're doing something right. So as I say, a quick gallop through 5 exercises that's worth having a look at your business with this in mind. You wouldn't expect somebody who goes around talking about business strategy and business planning to say ditch the business plan, but by that we mean ditch the bits of paper that you've got in your drawers that you bring out when the bank manager comes around and says how are you doing in your business. It's not about spreadsheets, it's about what we believe is a business strategy. So a more inspiring document that talks more about not just the numbers, but about where your customers coming from, what's your competition doing, what markets should you be trying to get into, what new products and services should you be having. So a whole wide-ranging look at your business. And something that's alive within the business, something that your employees can see and can understand and can see where you're trying to get to. So don't stop planning. That's not what that means. It means ditch that spreadsheet that you've got in the drawer and you dust off on an irregular basis. Second exercise is get those pillars in place. Go back to basics. We believe there are 4 pillars that are essential to having a business that's viable. First question, why are we doing it in the first place? What are we trying to achieve? What are we trying to get out of the business? Are we trying to build a retirement plan? Are we trying to hand over to children at some point? What are we trying to do within the business? And it sounds simple, but we ask that question to a lot of businesses and they've forgotten. They're too busy worrying about the day-to-day or the week-to-week. And you have to ask them, it takes them a while to remember why they set up in the first place. You've got to understand what's really important to you as a person, as a director of the business, and then the values that run in your business. It could be the reasons you set up the business in the first place. You maybe worked in an organisation that didn't serve customers very well, or the products were shoddy, and you decided, well, I could do this a lot better. So you go and set up in business, and those become your values: customer service, product integrity, finish on time. Those kind of things could be the values that you have in your business. If you can build partnerships with other businesses that do the same, suppliers, and even when you're hiring people, if you can use the same values, then you'll get on a lot better and business should be a lot smoother. The third pillar, remember what your purpose is. This doesn't mean what product you supply or what service you deliver. It means what does the customer get as a result of what you've done for them. And if you can do that, it makes it a lot easier to get the message across. A couple of examples, things like hairdressers, for example. Women don't go into hairdressers to have a haircut. They go in to feel better, to look better, probably to have a chat. They're probably going to the same hairdressers for years and years. They've got a relationship there. It's a lot more than just the haircut. But the haircut's the thing that is your product, if you like. The fourth pillar, start thinking about where you could be. What's the vision for the organisation? What are you trying to achieve? And think big. I think it was Donald Trump, the guy from the States, who said, if you're going to be thinking anyway, so why not think big? Don't be thinking 5 or 10% growth over the next 3 years. Be thinking about doubling your turnover or doubling your profit or being the best there is in Merseyside at whatever it is that you do. So think a little bit bigger than maybe what you have done in the past. So those are the basics, the four pillars that we always like to get right in a business before we start talking about anything else. The third exercise about your business is it's a little bit about future-proofing and giving yourself advanced hindsight. And this is something that big businesses very often get spectacularly wrong. Kodak, for example, in the news lately, just in the last couple of days, gone into Chapter 11 in the States. They realised 30 years ago that things were changing in the camera industry and the film. That they made a lot of money out of film and instamatic cameras, that kind of thing. And so they knew 30 years ago it was going to go digital. Fuji, in Japan, knew exactly the same thing at the same time. Radically different approaches to knowing that fact, and Kodak was slow and didn't react very quickly. With very fat organisation with very difficult communication lines. So they're now in Chapter 11. It's 30 years later, but something that went wrong at that time meant they're now in trouble. Fuji did it differently and they're now booming. So it's looking at the big picture, looking at the sectors that you might be in and considering those factors and deciding, trying to see what's coming up, what might happen that might throw you off track. And you've got to do that on a fairly regular basis to keep an eye on things that might happen. So that's the third exercise. So you've looked at your sector. It's now time to get a little bit closer to your own business, and this is where it gets a little bit tougher and where we can sometimes give feedback that might not be popular. Because we call it looking in the mirror or doing a gives analysis of your business. So what are you great at? Most of us are really good at a long list of things that we're great at. But where the real value is in this discussion is what can we improve and where are we vulnerable? And it's sometimes difficult to do in your own organisation because you think you're doing things right because you've been doing them for so long. So you need some help sometimes, and if you can involve people that work in your business, they're very often the ones that know exactly what's going on where you think you know. Better still, if you trust some of your customers and they can give you some honest feedback about what your business is doing, then that's even more important because business growth comes from these areas really. If you can find things to improve and address the issues where you're vulnerable, then that's where your growth's going to come from. And if you can match up the opportunities that have come from your analysis on the previous step to what you're really good at, then your quid's in and you should be able to find yourself an edge over your competition. The so what factor there is the edge only means something if it means something to people who are spending money. So if it doesn't matter to the client or the customer, then it's not an edge. So if you've got the best headed notepaper in your sector, that's not going to mean a lot to your client. So find another edge. So that's the fourth exercise. And the fifth one is related again. It's all about competitive advantage, and that's what is critical to businesses. Have you got one, first of all? Have you got a sustainable competitive advantage, something that can stand the test of time and stand people coming in and trying to take your advantage away from you? You got to ask yourself, what is it that makes us different as a business? And it's rare for businesses to be different these days because there's so many small businesses starting up. But if you can find a difference, fabulous. If you can't, then what makes you better than your competition in any particular aspect of what you do? We don't show many diagrams, and we're not consultants in that sense. We don't show loads of diagrams, but this is one that we think tells the story. You need to position yourself on this triangle in our view. Very rare can small businesses position themselves on cost. There's big businesses that can blow us out the water on cost usually. So we have to be able to differentiate, or we have to find a niche, and if we can do both, then that's all the better. So what is it that you can do differently to anybody else? Or can you find a niche, either a geographical niche or a small sector of a big sector that can make your business grow? What you don't want to do is try and be everything to everyone, fall in the middle there where nobody can really identify what it is that you do. And you look at big businesses again like Woolworths or maybe WH Smith's arguably, who've fallen into that category and nobody really knows what they go in there for. So it's not a sustainable business. So that really was a quick gallop because I am trying to get you there for 11 o'clock. So all I want to say is business doctors can help you do this kind of stuff. So Kevin and myself are over there in the back if you want to come and have a chat. Free strategic business continuity health check for anyone who wants it. So come and have a chat, leave us your card, and we'll see you again. Thanks a lot.